Good morning, Flosstube. My name is Laura, and I'd like to welcome you to Stitching by the Shore, my channel all about cross stitch with a little bit of paper crafting thrown in too. If you are new, I'd like to say welcome. Thank you so much for pressing play. I hope you like what you see, and maybe you'll be so inclined to hit like and subscribe. And I would love to know what you are stitching on or what you like to stitch. And if you're a returning stitching friend, thank you so much for being here and also for pressing play and letting me talk stitching and talking stitching with me and just sharing this wonderful hobby that we all have. I so appreciate you, each and every one of you who are here. So thank you. Alrighty, so I have 13 projects that I'm going to show to you today, but two kind of administrative things before I go on to the projects. One, I filmed a whip parade and I did end up putting it on a separate day than my regular Fridays, which you can obviously see because this is a regular video. It went up last, I think it was Sunday. Yes, it was Sunday. So if you are interested in seeing my projects from what's my oldest up to the end of 2024, I want to say it was around 86-ish projects. Then if you just go to the video below, in front of this one, before this one, whatever the words are, then you can see that. I did not include 2025 starts. If you watch my videos since this year, you'd have seen all up to now, and then I do have a new start today as well. So you will see that in today's video if you stick around. So that's that. Whip Parade is there if you are so inclined. If you don't care about whip parades, that's fine. Cool. Then just skip it and hey, you're here, and I'm so glad you're here. The other thing is I had gotten a few questions about this project that I was doing, and I wanted to take just a minute or two to discuss where I am in that project and going forward, how I see it, if I can continue it. So the last year I had started, I would spin a wheel, pick a state of the United States, and eventually, once I went through all the states, I would move on from there. But I'd pick a state, and then on my Facebook page, I would put a post asking if you knew of any floss tubers in that state. Then we would also say it on my video, and I would ask you to add some more floss tubers that you knew of from that state or yourself or whatever. And we would start to have this list of state-by-state floss tubers, with the understanding that floss tubers drop out of floss tube sometimes. So it would, I was never going to make sure everybody was always active, but it would be a resource there. And then at some point, as we started to go near the end of last year, it was just too much. Administratively, it means monitoring the Facebook post on a very regular basis because things keep getting added to the posts. Monitoring the comments of past videos on a regular basis because, again, things keep getting added, and then continuing to add and update and fix the list. And I'll be honest with you, it's just too much for me. I have enough going on in my life right now that as a one person alone, I can't do this project. I thought I could, and I sometimes think I can do more, and then I do it and I stress myself out and I make myself sick and I do this, that, and the other. And I learn the lesson and then I repeat the lesson, or I repeat the mistake, and then I have to learn the lesson again, so on and so forth. So I proactively pulled myself from that at the end of last year. And going forward here, in years past, I would have reactively said, oh, I'm just going to start doing it again, even if it's going to stress me out. What I have going to try to learn for myself this year is that I can't do it all myself. So if this is something that you would like to see, I need help. And I'm just flat out going to say, I can't do it myself. I can't continually monitor and go back every single one of the state Facebook posts, continually go back and continue to monitor the comments to when new people do posts. And I love when people find new, but it's just too much for me. So I would need somebody to help looking at all the Facebook pages and going back to continue to monitor them, as well as the comments in my Flosstube videos. And then we can update as more come in. But I am knowing that, I always tell you at the end that you matter. And part of that is knowing when you can do something on your own and when you can't, right? and burning yourself out for doing something for other people doesn't help anybody, including yourself or the others. So I have learned that, so I'm taking my own advice to heart here. And for this project to go forward, I do need help. And if I don't have help, I just can't do the project anymore on my own. And yeah, I have to, I have to think about myself as well. And hopefully we can continue it, but it's just a matter of whether or not I get people to help me with it. So that's the state of that. And I just wanted you to know, it wasn't like I had forgotten about it and just threw it somewhere away. I am just being honest with you that that's where I am at this point. And as much as I would like it to go forward, I cannot do it all by myself. Okay, so now let's get on to the stitching. I have kind of broken up what I'm going to show you first with my piece that I do once every 4 weeks. Then I'm going to do the Bringo stuff, and then I'll do things that have happened after that and just kind of go from there. And as we go and talk about it, then I'll talk about the different things like Bringo if you've not heard of that before. So the very first piece that I decided to do was, or I'm showing you, is the piece that I pulled out that I do once every 4 weeks. And this rotation, it was Mary Poppins. And this is from Lina Ova Designs. If you don't hear something that I say for the designer or the fabric or things like that, if you look in the description box below, every project has the designer and the fabric usually with it, unless I don't know. And then I try to say unknown if I don't know. So just pop on down there if you need any extra info. If you are new, I'm not stitching the border. So this flower thing, I've already expanded it a little bit, goes all the way around. And it just wasn't vibing with me with this picture, which I really, really like. So I decided I'm not going to stitch that, and I'm just going to do the internal pieces there. So that's what I'm going to do. Now there is a stitch along for Lina Ova Designs. It's hashtag Lina Ova Sal, and it was started by myself and Crystal from Skull's Bane. I almost said, I've started to film this a couple times. Crystal, I said your channel wrong, and then I second guessed myself, and it just went down this whole rabbit hole. But I think I have it right now. Any Flosstubers I name, I also have a section where it says Flosstubers mentioned, and so I'm actually going to write down Crystal so that I know to link her Flosstube. But there's lots of great ones out there. I've seen Little Mermaid, Dracula. I think one of the Pride and Prejudice, myself doing this one, and I've started Cinderella. So there's a lot of fun ones out there if you'd like to either see or participate. And if you do, I would love to see what you're doing because that's so much fun and I love to do that. All right, so let me show you where I am after all that chatting. And before I was trying to decide which way. I think this way will work better from the way I'm sitting. So I'm going to show you in this direction. So that's where I am. I am so excited to start getting more. I'm trying to think. I did some of the building here, some of the border, and then I came over here. And you'll notice I actually decided, rather than just going back and forth, filling in there, I decided to outline him. And this way, if I'm zooming and I want to pick this up, whether it's part of its rotation or I'm just thinking, oh, that would be a great zoom piece, all I have to do is fill in. And so I don't have to count or think. And this is all being stitched with 939 DMC. So, I mean, you just pull a strand and then another strand and just keep going. This is on 18 count Uranus from Under the Sea Fabrics, or Uranus. If you watched my Flosstube, you know I went into a discussion about how to say it. And honestly, I may say it one way or the other and not think about which way I'm saying it from here forward. But if you don't watch the Whip Parade, there was a discussion about how to say the planet's name, and so that's why. But this is from Under the Sea Fabrics. I think this was a fabric of the month in one of the months last year, and I think it made the cut. So I do think it is part of her regular line now, and it is an awesome, look at this. Let me show you the other side without any stitching. Isn't that awesome? It is such a cool color. I really, really like it. And so I was pleased. Not everything I liked made the cut, but this one did. So I'm excited about that. So that's where it is. I did get over 500 stitches on this. like I said, bounced around a little bit. And just, I think I might continue to bounce to get across and then work my way down. But you know me, one never knows. Sometimes I just say, oh, I want to do this section, regardless of what else is going on. And so I just do that section. So, you know, we wing it sometimes. All right, let's put these down here. Ugh, the mess after the whip parade, I actually separated it into a few different days rather than trying to crawl all over the floor forever getting all the projects. All right, so let's start Bringo next. Bringo is one of the games and challenges that I do in the month of January. I like doing games and challenges for my stitching, but the games and challenges I like, here's my book that I show you. This is a bullet journal, a dotted bullet journal that I use, that I have decorated, and monthly I put in the stuff because I was finding I couldn't keep track of everything I was doing. I like challenges where I don't have to pre-assign something. Each day when I start stitching, whether it's a Bringo prompt or my I Spy challenge or an acrostic, I want to decide in the spur of the moment. I don't want to decide ahead of time and then be told I'm stitching that. And with Bringo, I can do that. Some people pre-assign their projects to the prompts, and when it gets pulled on a certain day, they stitch on it, but that's not the way I do it. If you have not heard of Bringo, it is part of the magazine monthly cross-stitch challenge group on Facebook, and it is a January event that they do. And so there's 25 prompts, and you make a bingo board, they pull a number, and then you do that prompt. So my bingo board at the moment, I don't think I have bingo. At this point, it's how long can I go before I get a bingo? I'm looking diagonal for a minute. No, I have a bunch of places where I have one to go, but I do not have a board, incomplete bingo yet. So that's what my board looks like. And so I think it's about 9 o'clock my time each night. Carolyn pulls the number, and then the next morning I look at it and I say, what works with that prompt? And I am making myself a challenge of not repeating a project. So I'm trying to do 25 different projects for Bringo. So that way a minimum of 25 of my pieces get touched in January. In reality, it's more than that because I stitch things for other stuff as well, but at least it's a minimum of 25. So that's the way that goes. Alrighty, so I pulled out Peacock Tree from Modern Folk Embroidery. What was the prompt here? I am one page too far. Something with a border. And as you can see, there is a very cool border on this. I am stitching it monochromatically. If you're new, I love monochromatic, as you will tell as I continue to go on with my stitching. I do other things, but give me a good monochromatic and I find it as relaxing as a meditation, which I do as well on a daily basis. So, you know, there we go. It is a form of meditation, if not in some ways. You just keep picking a strand and you go. This is 18 count Lovely Lizzie from Those Missing Stitches. And that's what it looks like right there. And I am using, what's the name of the floss here? Kingfisher from Stitchy Stuff Co. on Etsy. And that's where I am. It has some really nice subtle variegation. Again, a lot of the stitching I do with variegated floss, much of it is lightly variegated. And so you might see it in person, not so much on the camera. And I'm okay with that because I like just light, subtle variegations. Almost done with this section. I am making myself, every time I pick it up, first put a strand, or at some point put a strand in the border. Because I like stitching all the other stuff, and then the border, I liked it in the beginning, and now it's getting a little repetitive, but that's okay. I think this might be on this side, almost getting ready to turn the corner. So it's not a huge piece here. So I do a strand of that, and then I go back and I do all the fun stuff. I did some more of the peacock. I still have a little bit left to do, but then I wanted to do some of the kind of tree branches and leaves. And so I did that as well. So that's where we are. I really like it on this Lovely Lizzie. I think it's a fun contrast. So I'm pleased, because sometimes you don't know, right? When you kind of go out there with your fabric choice, is it going to be the right one? Will it work? And sometimes you don't know until you've got until you've committed with stitches. So, and that's I've got one coming up. The new start was also, I was a little unsure, but I think I'm gonna like it. So I think I'm happy with my choice. Alrighty. The next day's prompt was more than 10 colors. And that's easy. Pull out a full coverage because I have, a lot of full coverage pieces. If I can combine, sometimes I do, depending on, how much stitching time I have in a day. And for the month of January, I am stitching this one every single day. And for some reason, there we go, because it is Dragon Month for me. And so this piece, which is called The Love We Share, is being stitched every single day with 100 stitches a day. Sometimes if I have a little extra time, I do a little bit more, but sometimes 100 stitches comes and that's it. We stop. This is charted by Stitches So Beautiful, and the artwork is by Serr, Quill. And where is it here? Okay. Still background, but more. That's to show you what it looks like right now. And then let me go and fold it over for a minute. I worked in both sections, actually, to be honest. And I do that with full coverage. I pop back and forth. So first off, earlier in the week, I was doing a lot more on this side. This is the kind of the top of the dragon. You've got those beautiful colors before you get into kind of that deep kind of almost black with there's different shades that kind of start to show up. So I really got quite a bit done. I filled in some of the confetti. Every time I came to confetti, I would pick that color and then go. So I haven't done it all, of course, but then you would take this wherever it went. I then went to this middle section, which is harder to see because some of it is 3865 and some of it's just different beiges and things like that. So I did some of that before coming over to here and then filling in a little bit over here as well. So a little bit of everything in this one. 18 count white Aida, 2 strands over 1 full cross is how I currently do all of my full coverage. So yep, it's a mess, but I did iron it, but I ironed really quickly. So a lot of these still have wrinkles in them. Yeah, so that's where it is. And this one will continue to come out. What are we, the 17th? So it's still got another 14 days to go. So that's fun. I have been keeping track. I saw I kept track of what I started the month with where I started for number of stitches and percentage. And then at the end of the month, I will see, and think at this point, hopefully I am on track to go a little bit over. Well, it'll be 3,100 stitches this month. And hopefully it'd be nice if I get a little bit extra each day, that maybe I hit 4,000. That would be fun, but we'll see. Alrighty. Next, this one was pulled out inspired by somebody else who stitched this. And I watched Mandy. Let me write down Mandy's name. Mandy Parker is her Flosstube. I watched Mandy stitch. Why is my... And I've run out of ink, I think. Oh, well. All right. Well, I'll just have to remember. Mandy stitched this one and then passed it on to me, and I loved every single time Mandy showed this, and it looked so cool when it was done. And I said I absolutely had to start it, which I did, and I thought this would be a perfect one to pull out for that prompt. So I did. I did end up kind of being inspired by the called for. Mine's a little bit bluer as opposed to the called for being a bit more gray looking. This is 18 count Devoted Dobbin by Those Missing Stitches. So it is, it's like a blue-gray, and depending on your light, you might say, oh, it's blue. Oh, no, it's gray, and kind of one of those kind of things, and I really, really like it quite a bit. As you can see, the white really pops, so if I need it for things that I need colors to pop, I think this color would be great. What did I do? I worked all of this here, and then I pulled it out a second day, and I went, let's do this star, and that's her arm reaching for the star. I couldn't decide which way I wanted to go. I thought about going to the words, and I was like, not yet. And I decided to fill in some more of the stuff right here instead. So this got some good progress. These are, the moon is heavily, heavily stitched even her with her dress is going to be heavily stitched. So there'll be a lot of stitching with this one. This one will be around for a while. I can't remember if I said either I wanted the moon done or the words done or whatever I said in my whip parade for a goal. It may or may not get done, but I enjoy this. I enjoy this one and bringing it out. I think what I might do with the moon too, I don't know if you can see how I've started to stitch some of these, and then I'll do the border, and then eventually it'll be fill-in, which I think would be an awesome Zoom thing to do again. So that's where that one is, and we'll just keep plugging away on it. So Mandy, thank you so much for the inspiration on that one. I really enjoyed watching you stitch that, and it was beautiful when you had it finished. Okay, what is next? This next one, the prompt was something with words, and the new start that I did was perfect because it has words. Now, if you are part of Across the Pond Facebook page, it has people from all over the world. It started, I don't know how it started. If it started as a Facebook group and then the Zoom eventually worked into it, or I don't know the sequence of events. But you had Marie on one side of the pond and Angie on the other, and they started this Facebook page and they host a monthly Zoom, the second Saturday of the month. And if you go to the Facebook page, you'll get some more information on that. And so Sarah from Sew Me Sarah, oh gosh, I don't have any extra pens because now I'm worried I'm not going to remember everybody. Well, Sarah, hopefully I'll remember. If not, I've got to have some extra pens and markers with me from now on. So she had come up with this kind of idea of doing a stitch along with the group. And so I know that several were chosen, and then Sarah put up a poll and all of that fun stuff. And this one was eventually chosen. And I need to see what, I think it's in this. There we go. The one that was eventually chosen, I think it's called One Stitch at a Time. I'll look it up before I put it in the description box, by La Dida. And I thought this was really cool and fun. But you know, I do like to change patterns. So I'm not stitching the border, and I really like this top part, but I just didn't feel like the flowers worked for me. So I'm taking out the border and the flowers. And so this is the part that you'll see. Then, of course, you know me, and I have to change the fabric, and then I have to change floss colors sometimes. And so what I did was I pulled out the flosses that were called for, and then I kind of decided my fabric and then figured out what worked, what didn't work. Sometimes I liked the color, but the shade wasn't what I wanted on my fabric. And this is an ongoing process. I do not have all the colors figured out yet. I got a nice start though. I'm pleased with it. Sarah did break it up into, I don't know how many parts, so that you would monthly do a certain part. And then I don't know if it was 12 or what it was. And then at the, if you followed along with that, you'd have a finish in X amount of time, whenever it was. I'm kind of just winging it. And because I'm not stitching parts of it, then it wouldn't work for me anyway. So this is where I am. Look at this pretty blue. Let me fold that over a little bit. We don't need all of that though. Ooh, it almost had green tea in it. Let me move my tea over a little bit. Whoops. So here we go. This is 18 count. It's called Summer Sky by Hand Dyed by Rolanda. Rolanda doesn't name all of her fabrics, but she does name some, which makes me wonder if some of them she repeats. She has the recipe for, and then we'll make them again. This is a very pretty light blue. I'm not sure white would show up on it if you were trying to do, like, say, winter pieces on it. You'd have to test it, but I love it. So I ended up taking, I was pulling the DMCs. This is charted in things besides DMC. So first I was taking the DMC alternative and then going from there. I want to say that what I chose for the words was actually, might have been the DMC for the border. And I decided I really liked that color. So I went with that. And then I'm almost sure that this kind of maroon red is the called for, but then I did change this up one as well. It's kind of more of a silvery now. And as I go, I'm going to continue to change. But what struck me when I looked at it is I said, oh, this has got some really nice jewel tones to it. Obviously the gray kind of feeds into those other colors, but you have the kind of a jewel tonish green and the, you know, kind of the reddish maroon. So I may take that and run with it a little bit, but I don't know exactly what I'm doing. So this will be a surprise to each and every one of us every time I show this. But I'm really pleased with the progress I made. That was a start. It was supposed to start on last Friday the 10th, and I didn't have my fabric chosen, and I was busy on Friday with filming and all that. So I actually had gotten into the Zoom. It's limited to 50 people, the first 50 people who sign up. And I thought, okay, I pulled everything and I actually stitched on it, started it. I might have gotten a couple stitches in to start it before the Zoom, but then I stitched on it during the Zoom and then picked it up again another time. I didn't do all this during the Zoom, but so I started a day late and I don't remember what the hashtag is right about now, but there is one. I'll have to look it up. And that's where we are. So I thought that was fun, and I'm really enjoying what I'm doing. I'm hoping as I go that I pick the right colors and don't have to unpick. That's the one thing when you pick your own. Sometimes it works, and sometimes you're like, no, I've got to undo this. So hopefully that will stay on the I can continue because I like it rather than having to unpick anything. But really lots of fun. It's difficult to find a way to get the la-di-da patterns digitally, but I did get a digital. And I do want to do a shout out to the designer because the digital came in and the page with the little picture and the floss key was missing. I just had the pattern. And I sent her an email and she responded immediately and she sent it to me. And it was a very quick on top of it sort of response. So it was a very pleasant experience with la-di-da. And then I know lots of places have it paper if you want just the paper version. Okay, what was the next prompt? Moving on. The next one was a non-US designer. And I decided to pull out Emma Congden's British, correct? So I'm almost 99% sure she's non-US. So this is the one I chose. This is from Cross Stitch for the Earth book, and it doesn't have a title. It's just called, in my mind and in my notes, Difference You Make. So that's what it looks like. And I started this on Earth Day last year. A great goal would to have it finished by Earth Day this year, but I don't give myself that much pressure for goals. So we're not doing that kind of goal. If I get it finished by the end of this year, that would be fun. I don't remember what the goal was on my whip parade. But let me bring it up. That's what it looks like so far. 18 count fresh cut, the light version from Dying for Cross Stitch. And I've still got a little bit to fill in up here with the leaves and this bird. Haven't done it all yet. But then I also focused on the words, did a few more outer outline than the inner, and then some of them have another color to them. These words right here are at a page break. So that will probably be the most difficult thing I stitch because, you know, you've got I'm almost sure she does. Oh, no, she doesn't. She does not do, you know, kind of no, she doesn't. She doesn't do the grayed out section to show, okay, those are a repeat. So it's just a matter of lining them up properly so that I get it right. That goes a little bit slower, so take that into account. But once I get this word done, then it will be a lot easier because everything else below, I believe, is below the page break because there's 2 pages to it, a top and a bottom, I think. So that's where it is. Emma Congden does such great colorful pieces. Stitchrovia is her Etsy shop, I believe, and she's just a lot of fun to stitch. And I think this might be the only one of hers I have going right now, to be honest with you. Hold on a sec. I have this in kind of one of those portfolios. So I like to stick the book in so that way it has its own section. And then I can put the stitched part in the other section. And then we're all good to go next time I need it. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's put this down here. Yeah, I'm running out of room. Maybe I'll go this way. All right, next. What's next here? Something to do with your name. First, middle, last, however you wanted to do it. And I struggled with this one just a little bit. I mean, it's easy enough, just pick initial, right? And that's eventually sort of what I did. The only Little Stitcher, right? I think it's Little Stitcher on Etsy. Actually, her name is Laura. So if I had anything on hers to go on the go right now, I would have stitched that. But I don't, and I didn't want to start anything. So I took the L, and I went with Lola Crow. And Lola is L-O, and my initials, if you don't count my middle name, are L-O. So that worked out for a couple different ways. And I went with Haunted Library. And let me show you the original first. Where is the Haunted Library? Let's go to the other album. Oh, there it is. So that's how it's shown on a more neutral fabric, and that's the entire piece. And here I am. As you can see, I went a little bit different bright-wise, but I love my color choice. This is 18 count Imagine from Mystic Fabrics. And while you are seeing the light and the dark is a starker on the camera than it is in real life, this one is highly variegated, modeled, I guess is the way you'd call it, for fabric rather than floss. But it all works together, and given the piece I'm stitching, I think it's going to accent it and not take away from it in the end once it's completely done. So I'm really pleased with my choice. And a lot of my focus this time was over here, working on getting more of him done, I did the bat, how I was approaching it, like something like this. I did a couple of the books, but I still had some left on my strand. And I was like, okay, find it somewhere else in the pattern, which I did over on this side. And then I would add some more on this side and so on and so forth. But that's really, I think, you know, I'll never get this one finished the way I'm doing it that way. I really think what I need to do is just let go of the fact that I have half a strand left. I'll just put it back with the skein. And then later on, when I get to that, I'll worry about it. Stitch a section. So pick a section, whether it's, you know, just finishing here with the books or finishing out here or starting here, do that section. And even if that means I do 10 stitches, change color, I think in the end that will be less frenetic back and forth. And yeah, it'll be slow going because there's a lot of color changes. Every time you have a bookshelf and books and everything, that's a different color change. But I think in the end, that will work better for me because what I'm doing is not necessarily working. I got my goal, but I really didn't get much more than the Bringo goal on this. So I think in order to get this one moving a little bit, then I need to kind of focus on a section and just not worry about finishing that strand then and there. Let that go. And so I think I feel good about that idea. And so going forward, when this one comes out, which is a fun one for challenges, there's a lot to it that you can find for challenges. So it should come out on a regular basis. Going forward, that one might be, I can make to myself more visible progress because I can see it. I know I stitched a certain amount, but I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere kind of thing. And I love the project, so I'm not getting rid of it. It's very cool, the finished project. So I'm going to do it, but I need to find a better way for me to do it because it's not quite working the way I do it. All right, so next, the prompt was the length of your favorite movie. I don't have a favorite movie, so I just thought about, okay, what was the last thing I saw in the theaters? And I don't go to the theaters very often, but Mo and I went to go see Top Gun Maverick when it came out. What was a couple years ago now? That tells you how many times I go to the movie theater, right? And I looked it up, and I think it was like 2 hours and 21 minutes, whatever it was. And so however number of minutes the movie is, you put that number of stitches in. I think I stitched more than that, but I chose this one for that because the Shores of Hawkhorn Hollow haven't seen work lately. This is what, by Carriage House Samplings, the whole thing looks like. And you know I am not doing the whole thing. And in fact, I am changing what my original plan was. I was heavily inspired by Georgia Girl Stitching, Megan, and I was originally going to do it, if I can show you, if I can find the picture, then I would show you. Oh, there it is. I was going to do it this way, which is what Megan is doing. And as I've stitched it, I've decided I want to take out this middle section. I think that would be cool to stitch on its own. I'm not doing all the words. In fact, the only words I'm doing are light the way for the lighthouse. I'm not doing the words down here. I'm not doing the words up there. In this section, I wouldn't do the words. So that part really didn't matter. So I'm only going to do 4 squares. So take this out, move those up, and that's what I'm going to do. Not there yet. Still on the first square. That's okay. Let me fold this over a little bit here. And here I am. And I did get my prompt plus more on this one when I stitched on it. Whatever day that was. Day 15 of Bringo. So it would have been the 15th. Because that's the nice thing. Each day corresponds with the day of the month. So I know where I am. 18 count Pale Ale from Dying for Cross Stitch. And I concentrated down here. There are some seagulls and things like that up there. And I think the sun needs the mouth, but I haven't done up there. I decided to just do various different parts of the rocks here at the base of the lighthouse. And I did finish that guy up. So he's all done on the rocks there. I think next time I pick it up, I will continue to do the rocks. This is water. I may end up doing the border so that I can do, at this point, I can do the 4 borders if I really wanted to, and I just needed some non-thinking. So I did not know this coming back into cross stitch. We never did this back ages ago when I did it, but I learned from other floss tubers about, stitching the 10 half stitches and on the 10th one make an X, and then that is a good way to do large borders like that, and you can keep track at a quick count how many you have against the pattern. And so I started doing that with this, and it was fantastic. Loved it. And so I think I could at the very least get the half stitches up to the 10th and a full on all of that, and then that would be really easy to fill in as I went along. Or if I wanted to do a specific square or something in the square, then I could. So whether or not I finish this completely and then go to the square, or I start doing some of the outlines, I don't know yet. But I think in some ways getting the outline done would be good for my brain, because then I'd kind of see what I have, and I could really choose wherever I wanted to go depending on that day what I was feeling. You know what I mean? So, all right. Those were all of my Bringos. Because I have enough, and you actually had last Thursday's was the first one I showed you for Bringo this week. I'm not showing you yesterday's. You'll see that next week because I have 13 projects. I didn't need to show you 14. Okay, so once we left Bringo, the 13th of the month, I decided to do kind of like a dark 13 and do some Halloween stuff. And I did 2 Halloween pieces. This first one is Halloween Kisses, and it's by Primrose Cottage. And I didn't use the called for. I didn't want to do it in black necessarily. So I just found a scrap and I went with this blue. I think it's 18 count. Let me see. Is it the same size as this one? Gosh, it's smaller. I don't know if it was charted smaller, because there's no way this is 20 count. I don't know. It's a scrap of something. And so I did that. So that's my finish. I had quite a bit. I will admit I didn't just stitch on it on the 13th. It did get a little bit of extra time, because then I saw where I was and how close I was to a finish. And I felt like I just needed to keep going with that and get the finish. This is part of the series. I do have this one up for winter Wishes and Snowman Kisses. And I just made it a leaner. In fact, it's messy on the back. I haven't even done felt on the back on this one. I need to just slap a piece of the black felt. I got a huge piece from Michael's, and it's actually not the real skimpy thin stuff. there's a bit of substance to it. So I just need to glue some of that black felt on the back of this. And then I like to put them leaning against things. I actually have that right now. My Hirschner's tree at the very tippy top. There's no way I'm putting stuff at the very tippy top. So I actually have it kind of placed on some of those pieces, and it's like the tree topper, so to speak. But now we have this one done. I'll probably do a leaner for this one as well, and think of it for Halloween. So that's good. That's a finish. So that was finish number 2 of 2025. Then I pulled out a big piece because I said I do want to focus on, there's several of the smalls that I do want to get finished this year. I also have some big pieces that need work. And so I pulled out Witch's Hollow. I don't know if it'll come out every 13th because there is Samhain and Salem that I really want to do as well. So maybe I'll rotate, or I don't know. I'll go by how I feel. But that one's not on Pattern Keeper. This one is. So depending on whether or not I want the extra device. Yeah, so this is from Autumn Lane Stitchery. And the orange is not stitched. I want to say that because that'll explain my color choice. I am up here. But I got, I think I got 400 stitches in this. I know it's not going to look like it because I am in the full coverage section up top. This is the entire width though. So that's as far as it goes. And this is 18 count genuine Jillian from Those Missing Stitches. And I love it. I focused all in this corner. So that's 400 stitches in that corner. There will be a huge chunk of stitching here at the top. And I'll just keep plugging away. I mean, this is a long-term project. Autumn Town took me at least 2 years, if not 3. So I'm under no illusions that this is getting done in a really fast period of time. But I like it. And I didn't do Autumn Town on Pattern Keeper. I did it by paper. And it is a world of difference doing it on Pattern Keeper, especially these sections with the full coverage. You can do it paper. Obviously, I did Autumn Town, and Autumn Lane does a very good job of charting. So it's easy to read and it's doable, but this really makes it easier. So I'm glad in the end that I had to wait for the PDF because this makes more sense for me. So there we are. And I mean, obviously, I'm not going to wait just for the 13th of a month. If it works for a challenge or I just feel like it, then they come out. But for the most part, that will be an option too. And I like that idea of using the 13th and the 25th for Halloween and Christmas pieces. Okay, this is one you will also see every week until it's finished. And it's my Blessings Sampler 2025. It's from the Camping Stitcher. And I think it's going to take me all month, to be perfectly honest with you. It's a great pattern, and I enjoy stitching it, but I think it's just going to take me because I'm not just focusing on this one piece, right? I have a bunch of other things I'm stitching. So that's what it looks like. I chose 18 count orange Peacock from Under the Sea Fabrics, and I am using Eggplant, I think it is. Yes, from Stitchy Stuff Co. And again, probably can't see any variegation on the screen, but you can in real life, especially in the roof. Obviously, in the words, how much variegation are you going to get? And I actually prefer no variegation in my words. It's easier for me to read. So I'm quite happy with that. As you can see, I'm not stitching, because it's the top border, I'm not stitching the alphabet on the top and the bottom. I'm bringing that top border down, the bottom border up, and then focusing on that middle section. So I did finish the house. I finished the year, got this, and got some words in. Again, I have 2 weeks. I have 14 days left to do this one, so feel perfectly fine with it and feel like it's going to be finished fine. And if it's still quite a bit to do by that last week, then I will give it like 100 stitches a day or something or other. And I feel like it should be easy to finish. But I'm enjoying that. It's the first Camping Stitcher. I mentioned this last week, a piece that I have done, and I really liked it. I could easily see buying more of her patterns. Okay, this next one, I have realized I really don't like things assigned to me, even if there's only a small amount to the assignment. So moving forward, I don't think I'd even do this. This one here is designated as my snow stitch. It is Celtic Dragon from 2x2 Stitch Art. And I pulled it out because it snowed. We got some more flurries and stuff like that. But I decided I don't like being told what to stitch. And so I think I am not going to do things like snow stitches. The last 2 years it didn't snow, so I didn't really know that. But now that we've gotten some snow, and I think it's supposed to, I don't know if we're getting anything tonight or Sunday, or I don't remember. And I'm like, I just want to stitch what I want to stitch. So I'm taking snow stitching out of my rotation and not worrying about it. I am so close. I really would like to get the dragon part finished by the end of Year of the Dragon. I don't know exactly when Year of the Snake starts, but I'm so close. I really only have down here, but you say that and that's, you know, 1,000 stitches or whatever it is. I don't know exactly, but I do a section and I've completed, I think I completed here and worked away and here, but then you're like, oh man, there's still a lot to do. This is 18 count Phoenix from Bestitch Me. And I did start it for the Year of the Dragon Sal. So whatever day the Year of the Dragon started last year was when I worked on it. It will come out again this month because right now we are in Dragon Month for me. Next Tuesday on the 21st, Onyx Storm comes out. And so I have been focusing on a lot of dragon pieces because that is a dragon book. And yeah, that's where I am. So you will see this again between now and the end of the month. Maybe both, because there's probably what? So there'll be 2 more videos because the second Friday from now would be the last day of the month. I really would like to get that finished. The dragon is being stitched with She's So Blue from Roxy Flosco. And that was purposely, I wanted it blue. I wanted her blue because this is Sigale, Zayden's dragon. So I'm thinking once this piece is done, I'm going to put it on Instagram and I'm going to tag Rebecca Rieros. Alrighty. Very last piece. I just felt like stitching this. And so I did. This was my New Year, New Start. If I can find it. Where is my... It should be here. Oh, there it is. I do things on different fabrics, and so when they're being shown on white, I kind of go right by them. So I started this one January 1st of this year. It is Black Roses from Owl Forest Embroidery. And we do have a stitch along hashtag. It's hashtag Black Roses Sal if you'd like to join. I love seeing everybody's pieces. Everybody is taking this one with individuality, and it's amazing. Everybody's looks good, and it's so different, each and every one. I've talked about how I felt a Maleficent vibe with this one. I don't know why, but that was the first thing that popped into my head. And so I wanted some sort of deep plum sort of fabric. And it is hard to find good, deep, smoky plum fabric. This was all I could find. To be honest, that was the shade I was going for. This is 18 count Pomona from Under the Sea Fabrics. And I am stitching this with Anchor Black mostly. And then the roses are, and I do get the irony of stitching a black roses piece with red roses. This is pomegranate. Part of me almost wants to do, and when I get to it, to do the dress in the eggplant or some deep, deep purple that almost looks black, and you may not be able to tell unless you looked at it close. But I have a long way to go on that, so we'll see. But I've made really good progress. I forgot to look to see what the percentage was. I mean, it's a big piece. I'm thinking a minimum of 18 months to stitch that. That's about what Owl Forest Black Vintage Sampler took me. And that one was paper. This one's bigger. So I'm thinking they balance each other off. This one's bigger, but it's on Pattern Keeper, so maybe it could be a bit faster. So that's where it is. Again, a lot of roses, a little bit. We have the castle here, plus one little bit down here. This section here, I think, gets repeated on this side. So what you see here, I don't know if I have the very tippy. No, the very tippy top of the castle will be right here. And then this kind of flips and it's repeated over here. So I don't know if I'll do that and then work my way down, or I don't know. You know me. but I love it. I so enjoy stitching on this one. I don't know if it'll come out this week though. We will see. Obviously we have Bringo. Have I picked it for Bringo yet? Yeah, I have. The very first day I did. So I won't be able to pick it for Bringo, but that doesn't mean it won't come out. I might, going into plans, this weekend is Whip Frenzy. I'll talk about that for a minute. So that's 100 to 200 stitches on as many pieces as possible. So maybe this will come out for Whip Frenzy. But one last look, then we'll put it away and we'll talk plans. Oh, I love that. Okay. So plans. Yes, this weekend is 24 hours of cross stitch, first off, which was started by Jen Lee. There is a Facebook page for it. I am part of the Facebook page, but I generally don't post pictures there. I kind of just look at everybody else's pretty pictures. And the idea was originally 24 hours straight, just stitch. And it had to do with, I think her husband used to do some sort of gaming 24-hour thing. So she figured, hey, I'll stitch 24 hours while he's doing that. And then it kind of morphed into 24 hours from the entire weekend. Because some of us need sleep. I don't think I've ever gotten 24 hours. I'd say about 13, 14 has been, if I loosely keep track of time. I generally, I do count stitches, but I don't keep track of time so much. So somewhere around there, give or take. But I know I've never done 24. But one of the groups I'm part of, which is currently closed, will open again in November, is called Whip Warriors. And that is a group that is a challenge group, games, challenges, all that fun stuff, mandatory activity. So you have to be active and show your work. Otherwise, that you're not allowed to stay in the group. But it's a purely kind of like games kind of group. And they used to do this Whip Frenzy with 24 hours of cross stitch. Then they kind of got out of it. And I'm so excited to see, I hope they do this for the entire year because there's 4, it's quarterly, the 24 hours of cross stitch. I hope they do Whip Frenzy with it each quarter. And basically the idea is to pull out projects, and what they do is there's a code word, and they don't announce that until the event starts. So you have to have the code word on your before picture. It's not as important on the after, but it has to be on your before picture. And then you show before and after pictures. You stitch between 100 to 200 stitches on something. I mean, there's probably nothing to say you can't do more than 200 if you're in the zone, right? But then you keep rotating. And so it's one of my favorite events. I really like it because I touch a lot of things. I do my best to get closer to 200, at very least 150, depending, unless it's something that's a lot of confetti, and at 100, I've had it. I try to get closer to between 150 and 200 on the projects, and then rotate to the next one. And it runs through, I want to say Monday morning, my time. Sometimes it's later than that. I'll just cut it off on Sunday because by the time I get up trying to stitch anything more and worry about uploading, I don't bother. So whenever I finish my stitching on Sunday, that's when I end the event. So we'll see what happens. And then what I try to do, because I get, I can touch maybe 10 or 11 sometimes in the weekend, depending on how busy our weekend is. Then I can go back the rest of the week and add some more stitches so that when you see it, sometimes it's got more than just the 100 to 200 stitches. Not always, because I can't always go back and touch everything, but especially with Bringo going on still too. So I obviously will combine the Bringo and do at least between 100 and 2. You have to do at least 100 to get your square with Bringo. And I'll just combine them. 2 different groups. It doesn't matter if I double dip between the different challenges. So yeah. And then I still have, I think I have 3 more prompts left for I Spy. So I can keep an eye out for stuff that would qualify for my I Spy as well. So those are the plans there. Whip Frenzy, Bringo, I Spy, just kind of going along with the stitching and enjoying it as I go. Alrighty, so that is my stitching. Happy Mail. So fun. I'm just going to show you the back, and it doesn't have any addresses or anything on it. The very first envelope with trading cards came in. So we currently have an artist trading card swap open. If you go to my artist trading card playlist, you will see the very latest video. It tells you everything with the swap. You still have time. I ask on around February 3rd-ish to get them mailed out. So you still have a few weeks, which is good because I still have to stitch mine. you get a whole month. I wait a whole month for them to come in from the post office. So if for some reason you're not there on the 3rd, or we have a big snowstorm, which this winter, who knows, right? If there's a little bit extra or it's a little late, just let me know. No biggie. I take, again, I am a let's go with the flow as much as possible and work with you, not against you, so that you can participate kind of person. So super excited with that. I love seeing all these, and I'm liking this theme, and I'm so excited to see how people interpret it. Then I'm kind of excited here. So I am the type of parent, I don't know if you, I'm kind of the type of person that does this. So the kids will say, what do you want for Christmas or your birthday or Mother's Day? And I'll be like, don't worry about it. You know, seeing you's enough, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, now I shouldn't say blah, 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 right? I mean, that is when the kids were little, I'm like, make me a card, you know, that kind of fun stuff. Because I mean, Mo and I are somewhat, I guess we're difficult to buy for, in the sense of, if we want something or we need something, we'll just get it if it's within the budget at the time, and we don't save it up for anything, you know. So generally we buy, you know, our own, like, oh, that was your birthday gift, or that was your Christmas gift, or whatever it happens to be. And then we like to go out to dinner or spend time with each other. So, but now the kids are getting older. And so Megan was like, okay, what do you want for Christmas? And they did my regular spiel. And I got the eye roll because, you know, she's old enough now. She wants to kind of get me a little something or whatever. And, you know, gift certificates always work, but she wanted to do something. So I thought about, okay, what could I do that I like, but I won't buy for myself? And I realized what I won't buy for myself are project bags when it comes to cross stitch. I have been extremely blessed to have received some as gifts, whether people have made them themselves, which you're also talented with your sewing, or in a few cases, and have bought me and sent me. And it's just been amazing. I treasure each and every one of those. But me, myself, when it comes to me doing it, I'm just like, oh, the Ziploc bag is fine. I'll just use the Ziploc bag, you know, kind of thing. And it you know, it works, blah, blah, blah. So I said, well, wouldn't that would be a good thing. I enjoy them, but I know myself, I won't necessarily buy them myself. So for times, if the kids ask me what I want for something, whether it's my birthday or Christmas or whatever, I'm going to start to send them links to different shops that do project bags and say, choose, and that would be lovely. I will love it. I think I'll even do that with Mo, you know, like he's like, I don't know what to get you. Well, you know what? I'll place the order for this, but this is from you, blah, blah, blah. You can say happy birthday to me, whatever it is. So I have 2 that have come in as the gifts, and they're 2 different spots. So if you have a favorite place that you like to do project bags from, if you want to let me know, whether you send me a message or it's in the comments, and I'm just going to compile a list. And so these 2 are from 2 different shops, because I like to give small business owners business. You know, I mean, I think it's important that we support each other. I had an Etsy shop for over a decade, so I get it. And you do that little happy dance when the order comes in, or I used to. I don't know. Maybe I'm just silly that way. But so I have 2 project bags to show you that are happy mail. These were gifts for the holidays. This one here is from a shop called Crafty Husky, and this one is a vinyl front bag. Isn't that pretty? You know that I like all sorts of the fall colors. And so we have that one. And then I actually really I like both type, the vinyl front, but the non-vinyl front I actually really enjoy as well. So then this one also came from, and this is from Pinny and Tunny. Isn't that beautiful? And so that's just an all fabric bag versus the vinyl front. Like, I don't need to see the front. If I do have vinyl and I see it, great. If I don't, it doesn't matter to me. They all kind of go in a row. The project bags don't fit in one of the containers, so they're in a different container of those projects. So isn't that beautiful? So yay. So I got some happy mail from gifts from family. And so going forward, that's what I'm going to tell. I did send Megan a link. I think that Etsy shop makes them to order. So it hasn't come in yet. So when it comes in, I will show you. Exciting. Alrighty, shopping. I have one bit of shopping that I did. Lynn from Those Missing Stitches puts out new colors quarterly. And so the beginning of each quarter, I quickly click on Lynn's store and see what she's got. And of the 4, I ordered 3 of the 4. So I'm super excited to show you. They're all 18 count because you know that's what I like. This first one, they're all named after book characters. And if you watch Lynn's Flosstube, Those Missing Stitches, when she shows the fabric originally, and she might, her Etsy descriptions for each one, I'm sure I don't know. I look at the color and I press buy if I want it. So I've never read it closely, but I'm sure she explains it there too. This one is Merciful Mercedes. Isn't that pretty? So in the camera, it's definitely kind of a flat brown, but in person, it's not quite. It's probably a little bit darker. It's really nice. I like the variation of having some neutrals and some brights. Lynn does an extensive amount of, not exclusive neutrals, but she has, if you want a good gray or a good brown or a good, Lynn does those quite well. And then she throws in and she pops some color in for us as well, which is really nice. Like that Genuine Jillian. I mean, that's a deep, bright orange. So she has a little bit for everybody if you're interested. And so I always like to get a little of both from her. So that's Merciful Mercedes. The next one is called Renowned Rebecca. And if you give me a cool gray that's sort of bluish, sort of grayish, you're going to get me every single time. As usual, not as stark in real life, but there is the little splotches of dark with the light. And this one is, it's again, you know, kind of gray, but on the cool. I'm a cool gray, cool blue sort of person. And then this one is called Maniacal Miss Havisham. And look at this kind of cool color. Isn't that pretty? So it's definitely a very neat mauve sort of color. Obviously, these are all 18 count. Different counts will look different. Keep that in mind. Lynn stitches a lot on her own fabrics with different counts, so you'll see what they look like, again, if you watch her Flosstube. So isn't that pretty? So I'd ordered those 3, and then Lynn had an oopsie of an 18 count Darling David where there was a few spots on it, and Lynn knows I love Darling David, so she sent me that. So that's kind of like a little extra happy mail. Thank you, Lynn. That was really, really nice of you. So we just work around the spots, which I love Darling David. And this one is available year-round in her shop, or it was last year. And so that's super exciting. If you want to pop by and get some, it's always available for you. So that's my shopping. I did order from the Bestitch Me ready to ship, but she hasn't shipped those yet. And then my fabric of the months will come in the second half of the month. So you will see those second half of the month. And I think that's all that might be all I have coming right now. Yeah. Okay. So that's shopping. So that's all the stitching. If that's all you're here for, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you watching and taking the time to watch. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about life before we head on off. This week I had, because of snowstorm last week, we had to push book club to this week. And we read, what was the book we read? We had a really good discussion. I want to say, sometimes our discussions are short and then we start talking about TV and food and all that other stuff. But this one, it's usually like an hour meeting, because then the Mahjong club comes into the area, the clubhouse area, the inside, and they make a lot of noise. So that's usually when we go, because then it's all the clanking of the tiles. Oh, what was it called? If you go back a video or 2 ago, you'll have seen there's a new one coming out. How to Solve Your Own Murder. And she's got book 2 coming out in a couple months actually, which may go. We don't try to do really new books for our book club because it's hard for everybody to get them from the library or whatever. So it might be down the road, but I think we all said that we would read the second book in the series because I think everybody enjoyed the book in the end. So that was a good discussion. And then I had physical therapy yesterday. Oh, we worked hard. I worked hard, but he said my range of motion has gotten better. I mean, I still have the pain, but I'm able to have range of motion a little bit better. So the more range of motion I have, hopefully the idea is the less pain. And he said that yesterday's appointment was the most like strength work I had done, because like the first 4 months, a lot of it was just trying to get the flare of all of the pain down, and with just tiny bits of strength. And so at this point, that session yesterday was the most strength work I had done. I'm really sore today. I was sore last night. So, it's not like everything feels great, but I've said this before. This is a 1 to 2 year project for me to be pain-free, and I get that. So I'm only 6 months in with this physical therapist. So lots of work to do yet, I know. But that was great to hear. And some things I can't tell, but he's able to tell. You were not able to do XYZ 6 months ago at all, and now you're able to do blah, blah, blah. So that's always good to hear. TV, I didn't watch a lot. I am rewatching Darby and Joan on Acorn because the new season has come out on that. That's a nice little, it takes place in Australia, and it's one of those kind of easy flowing sort of shows. So I enjoy it. So I'm rewatching the first season. I did watch Lincoln Lawyer, the current season that just came out on Netflix. I thought it was good. I never read the book, so I don't know how the TV show stacks up to the book. And they've clearly said it so that there'll be another season. And I still have the last episode of Vera. I kind of don't want to watch it, but I do, because I don't want to see the show end. So maybe this week I'll set aside some time and watch that. So that's really it for TV. I don't think Mo and I didn't really watch specific shows together for the most part. We did watch Aston Villa win the other day, though. All right. And then books. I'm getting ready for Onyx Storm next week. If you ever have recommendations of books, whether you leave them in the comments or, DM me or send me messages, what I do is I have on the notes section of my phone, anytime I get a recommendation, I throw it in there. And then when it comes time to look at the library or whatever to see if I can get one of these things, I go back to the notes list, and then I look and see. Some things I can get, some things I have to wait for, but that's always super useful. So if you have anything, I mean, next week is Dragon Week, but after that, I'm open to suggestions, because I know a lot of you like to read as well. So it's fun that we can all share that. But I don't have anything specific at the moment beyond the last one from book club that I read, and just waiting for Onyx Storm. So that's it. I guess that's all I have. It's cold. It's going to be supremely cold next week. I'm really not looking forward to it. I am probably going to do my best not to step foot outside if I don't have to. I know there's a time or two I have to, but if I don't, I am just going to hole up inside and throw covers on me, and then I get warm and I throw them off, and it's just this cycle. But outside we're getting down to single digits overnight and the teens during the day, and wind. So I want that gone. I'm ready. I saw that through almost the end of January, maybe near the end, we might get kind of more normal temperatures, normal for here in Southern Delaware. If I follow what the Apple app says, is about mid-40s. I don't know, but I would take that now in a heartbeat. But I know many of you are going to be much colder than me. I know there's some snow coming in spots. I'm still thinking of my California friends, and just so many of us, let's hope we all stay safe and are careful out there. So I hope you are well. I hope you are safe. As I mentioned, you matter. And yes, I am making sure I remember that as well, but you matter. And what is important to you, or what you need or don't need, is important to remember and to honor. So please take a moment just to remember that, because it's really, really important, and you are important. All right, until next time, happy stitching.